Peter Hollens, thanks for joining me here on the Pod's Honest Truth. Really appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here.
Well, let me ask you, first of all, let's start with COVID-19. And before we get to the hand washing video, how is the family? How's your wife, the kids? How's everybody out there in Eugene, Oregon?
Well, we're doing pretty well. I've sent my entire team home, so everybody's working remote. My son's been dealing with like an interesting low-grade fever for about 14 days, but we're doing okay. You know, he's hanging in there. It's actually his 6th birthday today, so we're trying to make him feel very special and loved today.
That's great.
How about you guys?
Well, we're doing okay. I mean, I've got 2 older ones. I've got a 28-year-old and a 26-year-old, and then 2 boys. Then the girl is 17 years old. So unfortunately for her, senior year, and you know, we'll see about school in terms of graduating. I know. So
yeah, that's hard.
We'll see how it goes. Hey, the hand washing video, you know, it's gone viral. Tell me a little bit about, obviously, I think I know the reason you wanted to do it, but kind of take me through the genesis of the project a little bit, because it is just fantastic if no one's seen it. We'll play some of the video here.
We need good hygiene to keep living.
Well, truthfully, I so desperately needed to do something, and I've been given this platform, and I know how to create, and I knew the one thing that we all needed at the time and still currently is some form of levity. And truthfully, I saw a TikTok video of somebody doing hand washing, and I was like, oh, I never thought to wash my hands and do this for the thumb. And I was like, well, I mean, if I didn't know how to wash my hands as a 40-year-old, then I bet I could teach other people how to do it. And so I spent a lot of time in due diligence watching the CDC and their best practices, and then I started creating this viral video with my team, and it was the one thing that really gave us something to focus on that was good and inspirational and positive, that allowed us to kind of release the anxiety that we were all feeling. And I know that's something that we're all feeling in general, but as a creator, the one thing that gives me joy and allows me to feel like I'm doing the right thing is to create. And I wanted to make sure that I could create something to create value for everybody that is needing it. And the one thing that could really help us is proper hygiene. And so I thought, I'm going to try to make people laugh and learn how to wash their hands better in the process.
I love it. Tell me a little bit about the creative process and laughter and how important that is, especially during times like this. I mean, we've never seen anything like this, and how crucial that is to kind of keep balance and perspective during these times.
Yes. Well, I'll give you a twofold answer on that one. The first one, it was such a joy to be able to concentrate on this project in the midst of all of this chaos that we can't really control outside of our inner circle, you know, outside of our own family. And so working on this even remotely with my team during the beginning of a pandemic, and seeing us all come together and concentrate on this so deeply and work overtime and get this video from concept to release in 8 days, it was a beautiful thing. And not only something that helped me a great deal during the time that we all needed to laugh, because I mean, let's be honest, the video is me being silly so that you can laugh at me the whole time. But it gave all of my team members something of an outlet to kind of forget what we were going back to in regards to you know, this uncertain time. But it's so necessary to laugh, and you know, I don't know. I can't describe in a more honest way how much I needed to create this, just as much as I hope that other people needed to see it. And I couldn't get my own 5-year-old to wash his hands correctly, and he heard the song twice and he was already humming and singing to himself while he was washing his hands. And I was like, gosh, I think this is actually going to be able to help people. So I'm not quite sure if that answered your question. I'm a little bit ADHD, but
it was perfect. It was perfect. Let me ask you, where does your, how do I say this? Where does your brain go on some of this stuff? I mean, it is so creative. It is like some of these, I mean, I have to tell you, I watched like 9 hours worth of your videos, but on this one specifically, I mean, how do you determine some of the songs? I mean, the Bruno Mars thing, the whole thing with Maroon 5, or, you know, when you're going around in a circle, I mean, how are you choosing these? How does that how does that process work for you?
Yeah, a lot of the time it comes down to following my instincts as a musician, and this one specifically because truly did want to go at it from the perspective of how do I get this to be shared with people, to have as many touch points as possible, to hopefully get into their subconscious, to get them to wash their hands longer, to like be like, oh my gosh, I never thought that I could wash behind my palms like this. And then I honestly took it from a data perspective. I went from the top 50 most watched viral videos the last 6 years, and then I broke it down into what the CDC recommends in regards to 20-second or longer segments, because you're supposed to wash your hands for 20 seconds. And so I was like, well, these 12 songs all have a beat per minute. That would give me 8 bars that would be longer than 20 seconds. So I'm going to run with these ones. And then from the 12, we cut down to the 10 after we, it's all based upon on data when you're trying to like check all the boxes in order to like go viral. And you can never guarantee any of those things. But I wanted to pick music that was fun, uplifting, and that could grab different demographics' ears, you know. But as far as like the way that we tried to mimic the music videos, that was very much similar to just the way that the original artists did their music videos. Because, for instance, in the Bruno Mars, like, you know, they have the 4 guys doing their really cool like dancing, and so I tried to mimic that. And then in the Adam Levine's song, when you have like the 2 guys that are like circling one another,
rotating, yeah.
You know, that's, I mean, it's as close of a ripoff that we could do in my garage and my green screen that we could possibly pull off. But
well, you mentioned the garage and the green screen. Tell me a little bit about, I don't want to get into the whole apparatus, but you literally could just live, which you do, you live and work in a cul-de-sac, in essence, in Eugene, Oregon. And this is your life, Peter Hollens. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, one of the interesting things about the current time that we're living in is we have all these amazing artists and comedians. They're stuck at home and they're creating content still. Like Jimmy Fallon, he's just creating it in his, in his playroom or on his porch. And I currently almost have like one of the highest production values that, and as far as creating content, because like my workflow hasn't changed. I'm still utilizing, you know, the same audio studio, the same makeshift garage, but you know, make it can actually look pretty good. So
Yes, it can.
So it's interesting. Yeah, I've always worked in this house, and I'm honored to keep on doing so. And yeah, I just get to make dorky acapella stuff that hopefully inspires and moves people. And I don't know. I believe in the human voice. I believe the voice is the most powerful instrument. We're all given it. I think we all have the power to use it, and I try to use mine to create, you know, acapella music of all sorts. I don't know.
Well, I have to tell you, Peter, what has this been like for you? Because it's been quite a ride for you. And you mentioned the word dorky, not me, and you've mentioned it quite a few times. I know I've done some research about you were like the dorky kid, you know, growing up, and here you are. This self-made video entrepreneur. Not only that, obviously, the voice you have is amazing. I guess I want to ask a little bit about your childhood a little bit. I know your father passed away, I guess, before you were born. He had brain cancer, and it led to some issues there. So what was that like, and why music was able to kind of bring you alive in all of this?
Yeah, I mean, my mom heard me singing in the shower right before I was going into high school, and she forced me into choir against my will. And up until that point, I had a really rough go at it. I mean, everybody had those kids in their classroom growing up that were the ones that got picked on, and you know, that was me. And honestly, that was me until I got out of the small town that I grew up in, because I was a dorky kid that didn't really have a lot of humor at home growing up, because we were just trying to make it by. And so,
Yeah.
you know, I picked my nose, I got made fun of it. I like didn't have a great sense of humor, but I found my voice when I was introduced to choir, and it really changed my world. And it brought me, it helped me find myself. My father actually was the longest living survivor of his type of astrocytoma in the United States when he passed away when I was 32.
Really?
He was given 6 months to live in 77, in 79, and 81, and I was born in 80. But my father was always someone that I took care of growing up, because he was blind, and he had he had lots of disabilities. So it was a different upbringing where, you know, the firstborn was taking care of my father. My mom was always just going to work and trying to provide for us. And so it was a different upbringing, but everybody's upbringing is different. It was challenging. What was the other questions?
No, that was that was perfect. You answered it in full, and more so. Let me ask you a little bit about your family, and I don't just mean your family there in Oregon, but your Hollens family, as you call them. They
Yeah.
are, in essence, the stars of this video along with you, and it's just a wonderful thing to see. This is what you said, because you've had a chance to kind of go. I mean, you've already made it big, but you had a chance to do the record label thing and go on tour and do the whole thing. And here's a quote you said at one point. Quote, this is you speaking. Going on the road 200 days a year is not going to make me a good father and a good husband. And I can tell in those videos, the way you incorporate your family in the videos and after, it makes a big difference to you. Can you tell me about the family aspect to all of this?
Yeah. You know, I had the opportunity to do the entire major record label thing, and the thing that gives me the most joy in life is being a good husband and a good father, and everything else that I get to do, even though I get to, you know, make a living singing, which is the one thing that really drives me. I need to stay grounded, and I truly believe in trying to not only myself live a life that is uh, focusing on being a good father and a good husband, but trying to also educate my peers who believe that there's only really one way to make it in regards to being a musician or a creator, and that is that you know, you have to always be on the road, and that you have to like think about truly making it as making tons of money and having lots of fame and having things, and that's a lot of
Mhm.
self-learning on my side in regard to like what is the definition of true success, and the things that have brought me happiness in life, um, things that are short-lived are what society puts forth as like, this is what true success is for a musician. um, and I love the fact that I was able to like have a couple #1 Billboard charting albums and all. That's like, that's super great, but in the end it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
And awards and like the limelight, it's nothing compared to the fact that, like, you know, when I'm done with a few or more interviews today, I get to go home and celebrate my son's 6-year birthday. And I know this is maybe dorky or maybe a little too early, but I bought him a Nintendo, like the old school video game Nintendo, and I'm so excited to let him play his first video games with me. We're gonna like have that experience together, playing Mario Brothers, of like
Yeah.
doot doot doot. I'm like, that's like, I'm so excited about that. And like right now I'm recording a second parody that's more focused not on like hygiene but on like self quarantine, and trying to go about that angle through levity again, even though it's a little bit more of a serious topic. And I'm really excited about that. I know that I can provide a lot of value, but I just want to get back and celebrate the birthday with him, you know?
Yeah. So there is another video coming then on COVID-19.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how I can not
Yeah.
create content right now that is able to provide value. So like last video raised 100% of the revenue for globalgiving.org's uh, COVID-19's charity that they have. This one we haven't finalized the charity for it yet, but I really do believe that one of the things that is really being affected in this pandemic is that certain children aren't able to have food that they're getting from schools, like a lot of these lower income families. And so I'm trying to find the right charity for that and do my due diligence on that, like we did with the first one, and hopefully we can get some awareness for that as well. I mean, there's so many worthwhile charities right now. I mean, I know so many of my own friends that have lost their jobs. This is
Yeah.
a very trying time, but I can't not try to provide awareness and education, because, you know, there's just so much misinformation everywhere. And if I can at least try to do the one thing to bring us all together, even if it's bringing us all together alone, to try to fight this thing, I'm going to try to do it, you know?
That's wonderful. Hey, Peter, last couple of questions. I'm just curious about those Christmas, the Christmas album, and
Yeah.
by the way, on a separate note, The Greatest Showman with the acapella. I mean, I listened to that twice, or I watched it twice. Unbelievable. The Rewrite the Stars with you and your wife, phenomenal. But
Oh,
anyhow,
thank you.
I can go on and on. But the Christmas album and Amazing Grace and Mary Did You Know, and
Yeah.
what did that mean to you? I mean, I don't know anything much about your faith and how you view all of that, but I am curious. Those videos seemed pretty poignant, and I'm wondering if you could tell me a little bit about what those meant to you.
Yeah. It's interesting. The music that has always resonated the most with me my entire life has always been Christmas music, and I look forward to so much creating new renditions of Christmas music that has been so impactful to me and my family and my memories growing up. And I mean, there's so many different angles to discuss about it, but the emotion and the integrity that those songs have, and the meaning behind it is something that allows the musician to I don't know, what's the best way to say this?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pivot and say right now, for instance, this is the best angle for me. I'm creating an Inspire album.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Inspire, and then like Legendary Songs of Hope. And my goal with this album is there's 6 hymns, there's 6 songs that are on the other spectrum, like Let It Be or God Only Knows from the Beach Boys. And my goal is to try to bring people together, like if people in my world, in my life, who like would only listen to music about Jesus, and then other people that won't because of whatever their upbringing says. And my goal is to make music that gets people who aren't used to listening to something else, but fall into it because of the totality of what the music means, and not really think about what they're listening to help them find new meaning in it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm wondering about that real quick on the new meaning. I mean, it's tough to kind of process this COVID-19 situation, kind of what's God up to, or where is God? A lot of people question. How do you work through that at all, or is that not part of the calculus for you?
I mean, I think that he is working through those right now that are on the front lines. I feel like
Yeah.
he's working through me and forcing me to work as hard as I can and focus on doing what I can to promote levity and pass my skills that I have been given, and let people feel that as much as possible. And I mean, I feel like that's what I've been pushed to do my entire life. And right now it's on a slightly different scale. I don't really ever fall into the where is God, because I feel like God is everywhere and God is love, and it's part of all of us.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of the reasons why I'm working my butt off to create as much music and love and levity as possible right now, because that's my job. That's why I'm here.
Peter Hollens, thank you so much for bringing a smile to so many people's faces in this very, very, very difficult time for a lot of folks. You wear your heart on your sleeve, I can tell. Thank you so much.
Thank you, David. My pleasure.